guys? Welcome back to the channel. Brown Eyed KK here with a book to movie adaptation review. So the first part of this video is going to be a review for the book Cross by James Patterson. Description will be below in the description bar as always. And the second part of this video will be a review or my opinion of the movie Alex Cross, starring Tyler Perry. So Cross was the first James Patterson book that I have ever read. I've never read anything else by James Patterson. And this book is about a detective turned therapist and consultant by the name of Alex Cross. In the beginning of the book, we see Alex Cross as a detective, and he meets up or has an encounter with a mob assassin by the name of the Butcher. And in that process, Alex Cross' wife is murdered, and it's 15 or so years later where the bulk of the book, the bulk of the storyline is. So 15 years after the murder of his wife, Alex Cross has stopped looking for his wife's killer. He has quit the FBI, and he is now a therapist that does some consulting work for the FBI and the police department. The story takes place in Washington, D.C., and Alex is the father of 3 children. They reside with his, I want to say his mother, but in the book they call her Nana Mama or Mama Nana, something like that. I just thought that was really cute. So I don't know if it's his grandmother and the kid's great-grandmother or his mother and the kid's great-grandmother. I think that's what it is. It's his mother and the children's grandmother. So the death of his wife is really sad. She dies. She's shot to death, and she's pregnant at the time. So it's really a tragic event for him. And 15 years later, they're just now getting, Alex Cross is just now getting back on his feet and, you know, learning how to live without his wife. So this case from the Butcher, the initial meeting of the Butcher, where he assassinated a rival gang leader for the mob, from that initial meeting we come to 15 years later where the Butcher is still an assassin, but kind of a freelance assassin, and also a serial rapist around the DC Georgetown area. And so Alex Cross is brought in to consult on these serial rapes, and they find out that it is the Butcher, coincidentally, that is doing or committing these heinous acts against women. He, you know, his signature is a scalpel. He mutilates bodies, and he takes Polaroid pictures and threatens the next victim with the Polaroid pictures so that they don't talk and come forward with any information about who he is, because he never wears a mask. He never tries to hide his identity. And in fact, he lives a double life. He's not only an assassin, but he's a husband and a father to some young boys. So that's kind of the gist of the story. It's all about Alex Cross hunting down this killer, which I guess is what the whole Cross series is about, is Alex Cross hunting down these killers. He's a profiler, and so that's his specialty, and that's what he does. So like I said, this was my first James Patterson book. It was really easy to read. The chapters are really short, which held my interest. At first I was like, why are these chapters so short? But then I started to notice that I kept turning the pages because the chapters were so short, and it was really a quick read because I just wanted to see what was going to happen in the next chapter, which was only like a page and a half away. So I don't know if that's his writing style for every book that he does, but it made it really easy for me to read this book. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters and the suspense and the chase of Alex Cross running after the Butcher, and the ending was very satisfactory. I didn't feel cheated at the end. So that was really good, and I will give Cross by James Patterson 3 out of 5 stars because I like the book. I didn't love the book, but I liked the book. Yeah, I liked it. So on to Alex Cross, which is the movie that is now in theaters starring Tyler Perry as Alex Cross. The movie and the book. Okay, let me just start by saying that I Googled the story to make sure I was reading the proper book and that the movie will be based off of the book that I was reading. So I Googled it, number one. And then as I started reading the book, the commercials threw me off because I was like, this is not the same. This can't be the book that the movie is based on, because I already see. Now, you should expect there to be differences between a book and a movie, you know, all the time when a book is adapted into movie form, except for The Hunger Games, because I really thought The Hunger Games was kind of true to form, except for some little bitty changes. But anyway, that's a different subject. So I was confused. I was like, these commercials aren't right. And so I went to Target, and, you know, Target had the book, and it had, you know, Cross adapted into the motion picture Alex Cross. And so I opened it up and I read the first couple of pages and I was like, yeah, that's the book. So Sunday, I went to the movies. The movie is nothing like the book. The only thing that's right are the characters, Alex Cross, and the fact that there was a man in the movie who represented the butcher, or who was the butcher. But the storyline, there were only 2 children in the movie. There are 3 children in the book. They lived in Detroit in the movie. And in the book, they live in DC. Alex Cross worked for the FBI in the book. And in the movie, he had not yet taken a job with the FBI. The butcher was an assassin for the mob in the book and performed mob hits. And in the movie, he was just a freelance assassin, which I guess he turns out to be later on in the book, but the movie started with this. The butcher, oh, if I say that, it's gonna ruin somebody something. I'm sorry, spoiler is coming. In the movie, the butcher kills Alex Cross's wife. And in the book, that may not necessarily be true. In the book, the butcher took Polaroid pictures of his victims. And in the movie, he drew Picasso-like pictures with charcoal of the scene, the final scene of the crime that was committed. Now, the butcher is crazy in the movie, and he was crazy in the book, very clear to see. And I never remember people's names, so you have to excuse me, but my guy that starred in Lost, that is the butcher in the movie, did an excellent job as the butcher. And I would have loved to see more of what was going on in the book actually in the movie. Tyler Perry was very dramatic, very stare off into the sunset and speak your lines deeply and put a lot of meaning into it and yada da 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 da. However, I know I say that like it wasn't good, but I thought he did a really good job considering that, you know, it was the first time anybody ever called him to do a movie. And it was an action movie. I thought he did a really decent job. If I had to rate this movie based upon the adaptation from book to movie, I would give this 2 stars, the movie. If I never read Cross and I just went to see the movie, then I'd say the movie was 3 out of 5 stars. But I read the book, and the movie was nothing like the book, so I was a little disappointed. Yeah. So that's really all I have to say about Cross by James Patterson and Alex Cross, the movie. I would read another James Patterson book. I enjoyed it. I don't do a lot of detective books. Karen Slaughter, I started to read, and I actually have a book that I need to read by Karen Slaughter, but she was my first detective kind of author, and I enjoyed her book Fracture, and I'm going to read the other book that I have, which is Undone. So I'll be reading that at some point. My next book to movie adaptation is more than likely going to be Les Mis. I don't know when I'm gonna start reading that. I don't know, and I can't remember when Les Mis is coming out. I think it's coming out sometime around Christmas time, and I'm gonna say this wrong. Anna Karenina. I read that, and that's coming out in the movie theater, and I have no desire to see that movie whatsoever. So I think my next book to movie adaptation will be Les Mis. I do have another book review to do. I finished reading Fahrenheit 451 in like a day. So I'm going to do a book review on this. This is actually still, will be a part of my book haul at the end of the month, but I'll be doing another video on this. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. If I say anything else, I'm just going to be rambling on. So I hope you guys are enjoying your week. Thanks for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're reading, and if you have any suggestions for what I should be reading in the future. Have a great night. Bye.